Good morning, and I think it's only right that we say Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Finally, different countries have announced the sighting of the moon, meaning or indicating the end of the holy month of Ramadan. And here in Kenya, already the Ministry of Interior has issued a gazette notice that tomorrow, the 20th of March 2026, will be the end of Ramadan, a public holiday marking Eid al-Fitr 2026. Karibu sana. This is the Morning Cafe, na hivyo ndo tunaanza hii show leo.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first holiday of the year. They're doing so the Lord this one.
And you know, once it starts, inaenda zikifuatana.
Soft life.
Kidogo kidogo, you know, Ramadan was 30 days, Lent 40 days, so it means 10 days from now.
The 3rd of April, Friday, it will be in the 3rd of April.
Yes.
Good Friday. Sasa hiyo siku itakuwa holiday, and then we rest on 4th and 5th, and then on 6th is Easter Monday.
I tell you.
The doings of the Lord once again. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Odinga. How hot is your coffee this morning?
Yes.
And of course, a lot is happening, and that is why we're here to tell you everything this morning. It's International Clients Day. Now, this is interesting because, you know, everyone watching us is also our clients,
yes,
right?
they are our clients.
So what this day
Beloved clients.
was created for, it's to letting all your clients, if you're a business person like we are, know just how glad you are that they've chosen your company. So we are glad that you've chosen to wake up with us this morning.
Mpenzi
Watch the show.
mtazamaji.
Au sio? Mpenzi, quite literally.
Mpenzi, hapa this is the right forum to actually say this. Mpenzi mtazamaji. Yeah.
So we are celebrating you this morning. Stay with us. Hadi tamati. We start the show right now. But kwanza, there's something happening. It's raining, you know? The Met Department had issued a directive.
Yes.
From 18th, right, to the 24th. Sasa, this directive was issued to, of course, cabinet secretaries, the president, the governors, and, you know, everybody to whom it may concern, literally. Nairobi is raining this morning. I don't know if you are safe where you are. Lakini, let's take a look at the state of the weather so we can see how it's looking this morning. All right, once again, the directive that was issued by the Meteorological Department for heavy rainfall advisory starting 18th of March to the 24th of March. That is starting yesterday, 6 p.m. to 24th of March, 9 a.m. Moderate to heavy rainfalls in areas including Turkana, Samburu, Migori, Nyamira, Bungoma, Busia. But this morning, we start off in Meru. It's 21 degrees highs today, and this morning it's 14 degrees. Thunderstorms expected in Meru. Migori is also raining, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 23 degrees. Kitui, it's raining as well, 18 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. We take a look at Kisumu. It's raining, 18 degrees this morning, 24 degrees. In Kajiado, it's also raining, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 24 degrees. Nairobi, like I mentioned earlier, it's also raining, and it's 15 degrees this morning, highs of 25 degrees expected today. So once again, counties, areas of concern, Busia, Kakamega, Vihiga, West Pokot, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Trans Nzoia, Nandi, Uasin Gishu, just highlands east of the Rift Valley, and of course, including Nairobi. I'm stressing on Nairobi because Nairobi had high fatalities in the last floods that were witnessed last Friday. So that is the state of the weather this morning. All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day.
Excellence is not an accident. It's the outcome of continuous effort, disciplined action, and the cultivation of good habits that sustain long-term success and growth.
Let's come back and take a look at what's making headlines this morning.
All right. A quick look at the dailies today, and we start off with the Daily Nation. Of course, a continuation of what has been happening in the country with the exchanges between the president and members of the opposition. So the Daily Nation today has decided to go with this headline, Courting Trouble. Yeah, and they say it's the theater of the absurd. Yesterday they were talking about glass being off. So they're talking about now both sides of the political divide. President William Ruto and his opposition leaders Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka and Fred Matiang'i, those are the faces on the front page. NCIC has talked about this. IEBC has talked about this. Members of the clergy have talked about this. And even the civil society have all come out and condemned what these leaders are doing and the kind of exchanges that they've had, getting personal attacks, attacks on families. And yesterday they did continue. The president still continuing in his tour of Western Kenya, still akaendelea na akarudia vile alisema juzi, akasema si ati nilidanganya. Kwanza akasema ule alisema akuli kwangu, angekuwa nakula kwangu ningemwambia awache kukula sana.
Interesting.
So that's the main story there. And they've covered it on pages 4 and 5. So the NCIC says that the growing inflammatory statements risk undoing progress in fostering cohesion. NCIC kwanza unajulikana. Anytime there's such heightened exchanges or verbal attacks that may be deemed a bit unpalatable, mambo ambayo inaweza leta utengano, they summon leaders. How come they've not summoned anyone so far? Ngoja utaona cartoon, kuna moja na very interesting. The IEBC also came out because they are charged, especially during this political period, the campaign period. It's only 16 months to elections. IEBC says rising cases of political intolerance and violence undermine fair competition. The clergy, when leaders wash dirty linen in public, it erodes their moral standing. And this cuts across wote, si ati mmoja. Civil society, state-sponsored goons targeting critics, undermines democratic gains. So these are the Daily Nation has just gotten the feedback from different organizations. NCIC, which is charged with cohesion, IEBC, which is in charge of the elections, members of the clergy, which they should be concerned with our moral fabric, or the moral fabric of the society. Civil society, they've all condemned the kind of exchanges we're seeing. Also on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning, triumphant police officers back from Haiti. You know, at some point, I think we had even forgotten that we still had police officers in Haiti. Yeah, and immediately after the US pulled out from whatever was happening in Haiti, and we were thinking, okay, fine, will we survive? Yeah. So now we have the first batch of over 200 police officers back in Kenya. Police officers returning from a peacekeeping mission in Haiti, celebrating the Embakasi garrison in Nairobi on Tuesday night. The contingent is led by Inspector General Police Douglas Kanja, and they're received by Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo as Kenya began withdrawing troops from the war-torn Caribbean country. We can see them celebrating there, and I'm sure families that had their fathers and mothers, or even sons and daughters, sent to Haiti on this mission, most of them are happy to have their kin back safe and sound. Yes. That Tuju story is still there on page 10 of this paper. Buyer of auction Tuju property linked to Starbucks. Starbucks is it's, what do you call it? Fuel retailer in the East African region, whose ownership is said to belong to 1 or 2 people. I think you can find out that. So in Asemekana, there's someone who bought that property for 450 million shillings here at Tuju. Kumbuke deni ya Tuju is in the billions.
Yes.
So if they auction it for less than half a million, bado kona deni. Anyway, that's the reason page 10. Imagine a property sold for 450 million, but bado isort out your deni. Na hiyo imeenda.
But si alisema pesa si shida. Ni pesa avataki.
But you see, the argument is, and this always happens when auctioneers come to your place, they take your car or your house, which according to you is worth, let's say 5 million shillings, and they sell it for like $1 million. Utafanya? Unasema uko na hiyo pesa, I can raise 5 million if I sell my property. Then they take it and sell for $1 million. What do you do? Anyway. TSC wants 1.4 billion shilling gap in medical cover, hurts tutors, matters Teacher Service Commission, and that's the Daily Nation. Today, unfortunately, we don't have the physical copies with us. Kumenyesha kidogo Nairobi, jamaa wa magazeti akaingia kwenye maji.
Tuliambiwa high risk of flooding, Nairobi included.
Right.
Taifa Leo. ang'ang'aniwa. Nani huyu? Winnie Odinga. Ni pambano kule wanaita. Mbunge wa Jumuiya la Afrika Mashariki kule Yala, Winnie Odinga anaonekana kung'ang'aniwa na mirengo miwili ndani ya ODM kufuatia pendekezo awe naibu kiongozi wa chama cha Orange Democratic Movement chini ya mjomba wake Daktari Oburu Oginga. Mirengo miwili ODM yamezea mate huku mgawanyiko chama cha chungwa ukitokota. Wanasema yani kila mtu anataka Winnie.
Lakini Orengo alisema vizuri. Alisema looking at Winnie, even listening to her, you can see where her heart is. So I'm not really concerned about where her body is. Yeah. I just know where her soul is.
Absolutely. That's the main story on the front page of Taifa Leo this morning. Utata wa mwezi warejea tena Ramadani kitamatika. We mentioned this when we're starting the show. Other countries have already issued. Hata sisi pia tumeissue yetu.
Sisi tumedeclare holiday.
Yes.
Moon sighting sijui kama wamedeclare Chief Kathy kama ameona officially Kenya.
Sasa
but UAE na Saudi Arabia wako washa sight the moon.
Sasa tumedeclare holiday bila moon.
Either way it will be today, or if they already sighted the moon yesterday, then probably elsewhere it will be sighted today. After all, Dimbali, ukiona moon UAE sio lazima uione hapa Kenya leo. Naweza iona kesho.
Bora moon ilionekana.
Bora moon ilionekana.
All right. Finally, we have the physical copies now and other quick headlines. Mkakati wa Ruto kuinua Kenya Kwanza alenga kuunda chombo imara cha kisiasa kukabiliana na shinikizo kutoka kwa upinzani. Familia ya Akasha yapata pigo jingine. Ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa 5 wa gazeti hili. Trump akemea nchi za NATO. Ashutumu nchi wanachama kwa kupuuza wito kupigana na Iran. Like Iran is fighting alone. Lakini sasa Trump anataka kila mtu aingie kwa mix. Ukiingia kwa hiyo mix ujue Iran naye when you go low.
But Donald Trump is just a funny guy, surely. He's the one who started this war.
Yes.
Now he's forcing everyone to get into it.
Nisaidieni jamani.
Kujeni hapa lazima tupigane si wote pamoja. Ukianza, where were you? Did you even inform people that at some point we'll need your help? That yes, we are going into this and globally this is why. Because you have to justify to these people.
Yes.
That okay, this is why we're going to war with Iran. So in case we need your help. Lakini alikuwa anajua sisi ndio wale baya.
Yes.
First body, acha tuende tumpige. Sasa hii amelemewa anaita watu.
Because Iran nayo has a lot of supporters. So hata kama ni hizi NATO countries, a lot of them are also friends with Iran.
I like it was just one move that Iran made that rattled everyone else.
The Strait of Hormuz?
The Strait of Hormuz. Walifunga tu hiyo bas. Everyone is helpless now.
Akasema sasa tuone venye mtaenda naye.
Tuone vile mtafanya sasa.
Interesting. On the top strip, Omar aonya Joho kuhusu kiti cha naibu rais Kindiki. Hayo ni katibu mkuu wa UDA. Amemshutumu waziri Joho kwa kumezea mate kiti cha unaibu wa rais. So Joho pia anamezea mate hicho kiti.
Na bado pia anataka kuwa party leader wa ODM.
Jamani.
Ambitions.
Na ile habari ya Senegal kukata rufaa kuhusu AFCON. Imeshutumu uamuzi wa kupokonywa ubingwa wa kombe la Afrika AFCON. Taifa Leo.
That story hata tuanzie tu hapo kwa Standard because it's a story on the back page of the Standard. Senegal vowed to appeal shock decision to strip them down of AFCON crown. Now imagine months later mumeshinda AFCON, Africa Cup of Nations, mumefanya ile parade, mukapewa medals, and there was some obviously financial gains as well for every player, even the country. Na kama ulikuwa na Fuliza ikamezwa na Fuliza, alafu na sasa no you're not the ones who won. Months later.
Sasa hizo pesa zinarudi?
I don't know if they'll take back the money, but at least the trophy has gone back now. They cannot claim to have been champions in 2026. Hiyo imeenda, hiyo ni ya Morocco. So at your winner's medal, you cannot, even if you hang it in your house or your cabinet, hiyo ni ile tu picha tu.
Ni fake.
Hiyo ni fake. It's not recognized. Anyway, let's go back to the front page of the Standard, and this is about the trip that Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, was also in charge of foreign affairs. This trip he made to Russia. And the Standard calls it a failed mission. Say Kenyans drawn into Russia's war in Ukraine face a harsh reality, no compensation, no protection, and no guarantees of return. Waliambiwa hii hatuwezi wasaidia. Na tutawalipa. Na hata hatuwezi waambia ati mtarudi kwenyu. Poleni. So the PCS Musalia Mudavadi's Moscow mission secured a promise to block future enlistments, but grieving families were left with little solace. Many have lost sons, some remain missing, and others were lured by opaque contracts they barely understood. So Moscow has refused to acknowledge the human cost completely. leaving citizens caught between rogue recruiters, broken laws, and war they never should have joined. They should have never been in Russia in the first place. But you know what? They say over 1,000 Kenyans are currently in Russia, and they're fighting the war. How, if at all, any of those over 1,000 happen to be your family member, unfortunately, Russia said, we're not going to release them. And even if they die, there'll be no compensation. Yes.
But
yes,
kurudishwa?
There's nothing like that. It is nothing. They've already enlisted. Yeah. Wamesema what they're going to do is to stop. The only deal they managed to get is to stop further enlistment. So no more Kenyans will be enlisted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But wale wakuko, over 1,000. Amesema hiyo wacha wafanye.
That's a done deal.
There's no guarantee. Yeah. There's no protection. There's no guarantee of return. Yeah. And that's the only story on the front page of this paper. That story is covered on pages 2 and 3. And they've juxtaposed it with the story on Russia unmoved by grieving Kenyan families. They say they feel nothing. They feel nothing. But you do realize that most of these people went there willingly.
Yes, they did.
They did sign contracts. Probably hawakuambiwa ukweli wote, but they signed contracts and went to Russia.
Yes.
And then they enlisted in the army with the promise of good money.
But the government was not party to these contracts. That's what they're saying,
yes.
right?
Unajua these are individual contracts. Unaenda kule kama private contractor.
And that is why compensation is had.
Yes. So no pay or pardon for Kenyans in Russia war, says Mudavadi. Yeah.
And the foreign minister alisema hapa, people who went there did so voluntarily.
Some of them were actually former members of the KDF. You already have military experience and you feel probably if you go there you'll earn more money. Then naenda kule unapata mambo ni mengine. All right. That story of AFCON, kwanza iko huku page 6, front pages. CAF brings disrepute to AFCON in Senegalese saga and rekindles injustices. Very many people are not happy with that decision by AFCON to strip Senegal of the AFCON trophy and hand it to Morocco. Yeah. Page 8, I have no apologies, says Ruto as he keeps attacks on opposition. Meanwhile, Linda Mwananchi explains planned parallel convention. That's another story that we've not talked about. Wame insist hiyo convention ya NDC ya ODM, Linda Mwananchi hawatakuwa huko. Ya hiyo walisema msitungoje. We are not coming there at all. Kenya records 54 new HIV cases and 57 deaths daily. That's another story on the Standard. On the inside pages. Let's move on.
The Star, there's a very interesting story here on the front page.
Hey.
Very, very interesting. Top city bishop embroiled in sex scandal with married woman.
Hii gazeti itauza kweli leo. Leo, The Star itasonga kusonga.
Sasa hiyo wanasema hii ni mwecheche.
Because surely if you look at these other papers, Russia, the Standard, we've had that story.
Yes.
Courting trouble is already a stale story.
Yes.
That, okay, it's not a stale headline, but people already know about the exchanges. Nothing new there. People coming from Haiti, Winnie Odinga's move in ODM, but come to the Standard.
We need it.
Sex scandal in a church.
Yes, in a church.
On the front page. Top city bishop.
Au sio.
Ai, gazeti itaenda kwenda.
Charles Nganga has sued congregant for defamation. Na nataka niwapeleke ndani. This story is on page 2. It says that this is the Mamlaka Hill Church's bishop anaitwa Charles Muhia Nganga. Niliona Charles Nganga nikadhani ni yule ambaye tunajua.
Ule wa neno.
Ule mmoja tu.
Atakwambia ukome sana.
Lakini huyu ni bishop wa Mamlaka Hill Churches anaitwa Charles Muhia Nganga. Now the man who this newspaper has named JJ says he discovered the secret affair between his wife and the bishop in October 2025 when he found a series of inappropriate text messages exchanged between the two. Now the man, the complainant, claims he got the messages in a mobile phone that was previously being used by the wife before it was handed over to their daughter. Sasa, this renowned Nairobi bishop has sued the church member for defamation, and he says man published malicious statements.
Well, this story is based on court documents. So the bishop has actually gone to court suing the other person for defamation.
Yes.
So the story is actually based on the affidavits that these people, the complainant and the defendant, have filed in court. So it is still a process in court.
Yes.
But it makes for a very interesting headline on the front pages on a dull Thursday morning when it's raining in Nairobi.
It's a holiday. The woman at the center of the dispute has denied allegations of infidelity.
I saw something very interesting, that the defendant is also insisting that the court should bar the complainant from stopping him from attending church. So why would I still want to attend church if I'm accusing the bishop of...
Yes, aende church ingine. All right.
Very interesting story.
Other quick headlines. Cops back after 2 years of battling Haitian gangs. That story about the police officers who are in Haiti. Sifuna team urges Winnie to keep off Oburu camp. There's another, it's a big story on page 7. You can take a look at it. Oburu camp wants to misuse you. Sifuna team tells Winnie they rivals want to get legitimacy through Raila's daughter. Kule juu on the top strip, government steps in to ease tension over Karura forest. And that story, gloves off. I'm ready to roll in mud with you, Ruto tells Gachagua. Fresh, independent, different, that's the Star. Grab a copy at only 60 Kenyan shillings.
All right, let's take a look at the People Daily. Very interesting headline on the front page. Kenya's coffee. Will revival efforts finally pay off? Matters agriculture given prominence. And this is very rare. Have you seen anyone else talking about agriculture? Okay, at least we have a sex scandal on the front pages today. We have some serious banter between the president and his opponents. We have a failed mission by PCS. Now we have agriculture.
Yes.
Matters coffee. So they call it bittersweet berries. They talk about the prospects of this great industry. However, the challenges it's faced, how many people stand to benefit from this industry, and the kind of remedies that are coming. And this, they talk about the revival of the coffee sector, a fresh aroma for Kenyan farmers. And they're quoting one of the chief advisors of the president in matters agriculture, who's talking about higher earnings expected in the coming days. So will this revival actually bear fruits? Quite literally, yes, in the coffee sector. That's the People Daily today. All
right, Business Daily, why World Bank and the FDB have banned PwC Kenya. This is the Price Waterhouse Coopers. They say that World Bank and its partners have banned PwC from its projects for 21 months after the Big Four accountancy firm fraudulently received confidential information from 149.8 billion shillings electricity project, gaining undue advantage during bidding.
Wait. PwC is an audit firm.
Yes.
So they're the ones who conduct audits. And people would expect very high standards of integrity from that company.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So they've been banned by World Bank.
21 months.
Yes.
Okay.
KRA staff and cargo agents suspended in tax evasion crackdown. This is very interesting. It's a story on page 2 on the ticker. Kerosene use in rare fast rise in 8 years. That kerosene consumption increased for the first time in 8 years, lifted by demand at a gas turbine power plant in Muhoroni, which is critical in stabilizing electricity supply in Western Kenya. Mafuta taa imerudi. Back to system. Uliwahi tumia mafuta taa kweli?
Mimi nilitumia mafuta taa. Mimi ni kijana ushago.
Uongo hiyo. Equity Group raises dividend after posting 72 billion shillings net profit. A new rule set up to 500 million shillings capital for cryptocurrency firms. And that's the Business Daily this morning.
All right. Those are the local dailies. Let's see the highlights from the region. Uganda and Tanzania. We start off in Uganda. The Daily Monitor talks about the death of Final Whistle. And they focused on what's happening with the AFCON. They've actually put it on the front page. So they say in awarding Morocco the AFCON 2025 title at the expense of Senegal, CAF's appeals board followed the letter of its laws. In doing so, it overruled the one authority that some laws insist is final, the referee, because they say the referee is a final arbiter in any match, and once he blows a final whistle, that's it. But now this is months later.
Yeah.
The final whistle was blown kitambo sana. So I said, the death of the final whistle. That means that going forward, they set a precedent that even though the game could be over and the referee has actually blown the whistle, we could actually revisit events that happened. Yeah? Kama kuna penalty, we felt it wasn't taken properly, it was awarded illegally.
Yeah.
Even after the referee has blown the final whistle, does it mean we can revisit such? Well, it opens a can of worms,
Yeah.
curiously. I wonder why Uganda decided that that is the biggest story for them this morning, the Daily Monitor. And government orders all taxis off city roads. Taxis to them are the equivalent of our matatus. Zile zimechapika kama zile za Kiwaliru. Ushaona Kiwaliru?
Wewe wacha wewe.
Kiwaliru na ingine inaitwa Indimanje. Hizo za Kampala zinaambiwa zitoke kwa barabara. We don't want to see old cars. Go paint them zikae mpya. Old ones toka. Kiwaliru munakujiwa. All right. Still in Uganda. Matters education given prominence on the front page of the New Vision. Best teachers awarded, and we have them there with the Minister for Education, who happens to be the First Lady. Top teachers across the country. Now, this is only in Tanzania, in Uganda, not Tanzania, not Kenya. Kenya, we honor the schools and probably top students. In Uganda, the teachers get it, and it's there on the front page of the New Vision. Tukiingia Tanzania, the Citizen, Samia pledges tax system overhaul. Yeah. The government has signaled its commitment to reforming the country's taxation system following years of complaints from traders, investors, and diplomats about bureaucracy, inconsistent enforcement, and alleged corruption. So matters taxation given prominence on the front page of the Citizen, and also the same story on the front page of the Mwananchi, still in Tanzania. Suluhu Kero za Kodi. There's a new commission that's supposed to review all the taxation policy in Tanzania. So those are the dailies beyond our borders in Uganda and Tanzania.
All right, let's see what the cartoonists are saying back home. We start off with the caricature on the Star this morning. We have two people here, gloves off, right? That is what they call it. You go low, I go lower. That is the president telling his former deputy president. Unajua hiki kitu inakaa mchongwano, ile marafiki wawili.
Kwa street.
Kwa street. Wewe hata umenona wewe. Enda gym. You know the way he say that gym?
Talking about you, you see the cartoon on the Standard, because it's the same theme.
Yeah.
And it has two of them. Ni kama wako hapo mpaka wamevalishwa vinyasa.
Wewe.
Alafu wako mchongwano, mmoja anaambia umekonda hadi masikio imekuja juu. Alafu mwingine anamjibu umenona mpaka kichwa karibu inapasuka.
Anaambia wewe enda gym.
Alafu you know what happens? Kitambo, because we used to do this. Mnachongwana, alafu mmoja anajaribu kusema na wewe inakataa kutoka, anaenda kilia. Go back home.
So, mtu atalia. That is what you say.
Kuna mtu atalia. Kuna mtu atalia.
Because now if they're going lower, I don't know, we'll back down.
You can tell the tone of their voice is rising.
Yes.
Kila mtu anaenda akishout. Itafika mtu mahali aanze kusema ngoja aanze kulia again nyumbani.
All right, that's the cartoon on the Star and the Standard. The one on the Daily Nation still the same theme.
Yeah.
Watu walipata strays hapo wakipita hiyo mud.
Kuna jamaa anarusha
matope ikawa attack pale yule mtu wa Kitale na yule mtu ambaye alisema ukikuja kwangu kukula nitakwambia uacha kukula sasa.
Because to be honest, hata mimi nauliza the two gentlemen.
Yeah.
Ule mwenye alirusha ile first salvo was someone different. Lakini hao wengine wamekula tu strays.
Imagine.
Tumbo yako ni kubwa. Unaharibu hewa.
Wewe nararua shati.
Wewe bibi ni kukodesha. Anyway.
Yes.
I think it's only the People Daily that has gone different, and issues of flooding. So this government that's carrying a briefcase of compensation, victims of police brutality.
Yes.
But now flood victims are also saying, handle this one too. Yeah. Quite a number of people lost their lives.
Yes.
To
Over
the floods.
60.
Yeah. So I said, matter how wanahitaji compensation. So those are the cartoons today across the four major dailies we've been looking at. Yes.
Our guest this morning?
After the break, we'll be having this youthful Kenyans for discussion. Unajua sahi tunakaa youthful. Tunaongea na vijana. Kwanza hiyo story ya voter registration.
Yes.
So we'll be having Kipkorir Brian, who's a who's a member of the Youth Affairs from UDA. We'll also be having Alionya Rosaline, chairperson, Young Captains, ODM. And Ken Babu, who's an aspirant for the senator's position in Nairobi. He's also the chairman of the Youth League in the United Opposition. Takuja kutuambia mipango yao na kama wanaona kama Gen Z wanafanya sawa.
All right. And President William Ruto will be in Narok?
Yes, indeed. President William Ruto this morning is at Mutonyo, I think, in Narok for the launch of the extension of the SGR from Naivasha through Kisumu to Malaba. So this will be launched today. And of course, tomorrow he'll be in Kibos in Kisumu for the same. And I will be linking up with one of our reporters, Sheila Chelangat, in Narok to give us an update of that. And we'll be letting you know what time we'll be able to give you that update.
All right. Interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube on X. At TV47 Digital, our WhatsApp line is active 0793267279. Send us a voice note or a video of yourself with regard to the conversations we'll be having on the state of the nation. And of course, later on, we'll be talking matters health. Kwa nini unasema?
Nisikia umesema watutumie video. Sasa nataka kuona watutumie video. Nilikuwa fikiri nataka kuambia send us a video of you and your registration as a voter.
Au sio? Wanasema tuko kadi. Hebu tutumie picha by the way. Kama uko kadi, send us a photo. Hiyo pia ni feedback.
Alright.
And we love it. You can tag us. My handle is at @Ann_Dida.
Mine is at Fred Indimuli. Make sure you use the hashtag Morning Cafe TV47.
See you after the break.
All right, welcome back and good morning once again. This is the Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Now I want to take a look at what's trending and what's big news in Kenya today. And for the last 1 week or so, many Kenyans, younger Kenyans, have converted the IEBC voter verification portal, that's verify.iebc.or.ke, into an online sensation. What they're doing is they're going to the portal, clicking in their details and checking whether their credentials as registered voters do exist, and they get the message, voter found, details as below. They take a screenshot of that and share it online, and that has become a huge trend. Of course, some journalists, including one Alance Ademba, have amplified this through the hashtag #TukoKadi Drive. Now, this is what we want to probe this morning with my panelists on whether or not this is actually a sensation that could be converted to a proper voter machine. This morning, I'm privileged to have with me in studio Alionya Rosaline, who's a chairperson, Young Captains ODM. Karibu sana. We also have Ken Babu, a familiar face on this panel. He's a Nairobi senatorial aspirant and also the chairperson of the Youth League in the United Opposition. Karibu sana, Ken. Also with us this morning is Skip Korir Brian, who's in charge of youth affairs at the UDA party. Karibuni. So you've all seen what's going on online. There's excitement. But so far, they say they've managed to capture about 216,000 new voters through this trend. Do you believe that this probably will be a game changer so far from what you see, Aliona?
Thank you very much and good morning to our viewers. I must welcome the idea by Ademba, and if the trend continues, probably the numbers would increase. However, the percentage, or rather the numbers and the range that we would have wished the young people come to register is still a bit low. So I'm calling on my fellow young people that hata mimi as Alionya niko kadi, ensure hata wewe uko kadi. Don't look at politics as if it is only, an activity of the seasoned politicians, because politics affects us at all levels. When you're taking a child to school, politics is affecting how that school is getting capitation and what have you. So young people need to come to the realization that when we go outside to register as voters and actually elect leaders, we are not doing the leaders a favor. We are actually doing ourselves a favor when we elect good leaders into the legislative arm, when we elect good leaders into the executive arm. I welcome it, but even as much is said about the trend, I want Ademba to know that do not expect that everyone will register in that TukoKadi trend will vote against Ruto. That is the missing link that people are having, that all the people who are registering now will vote against Ruto.
And before we come to that politics, I just want to capture this sensation where we are right now. Ken, do you feel that probably finally we have something that has been able to excite the younger generation in as far as voter registration is concerned? Could it be the use of technology, or that it's a trend, or it's because it's someone who's young who's telling them what to do? Can you point a finger to what exactly has brought us here?
Thank you, Fred. Two things. One, voter registration is very critical, and it's an individual responsibility. And anybody who has turned age 18 must be aware of the fact that they have to participate in the electoral process. Now, TukoKadi initiative propelled by young people outside there is very, very timely. And of course, we understand that the youth are more aligned to trends and of course things that happen, sensational stuff that happens online. And I've watched what happened at Kasarani. Actually, I was supposed to be part of it. I was out of the county. On that day, they registered about 400 young people. And on 24th March, the TukoKadi initiative is heading to Kibra with proper mobilization already happening so that young people can turn up and register as voters. But one thing that we also need to take note of is the fact that as much as these young people are coming on board to participate and also be at the center of this, because we've seen the youth have really put their best foot forward to actually ensure that they are participating fully. But now, IBC also has a role. And I said this here last time, I don't know how far they've gone with it. And we are working on a petition that we shall submit possibly next week. The IBC needs to digitize the voter registration so that not everybody must go to the IBC center to register as a voter. Today, Fred, if you look at Social Health Authority, SHA, you can register yourself and your family as a SHA beneficiary from where you are. If you look at Office of Registrar of Political Parties, Alionya here can decide to deregister herself from ODM, or can equally register you as a member of ODM without visiting the ORPP office. If you look at KRA, they will collect tax from you without you going to their towers. So then IBC must also take advantage of technology and digitize the voter registration process so that young men and women and Kenyans at large can register themselves as a voter.
Don't you think that they've done a bit of that with this portal, with the verify.ibc.org.ke, which is the basis of this sensation?
Well, what they've done is to enable you go through and check, verify your status of registration, but they have not worked on the actual registration.
Yes.
So that's where the concern is. If they work on that, they will make it easier for us and the young people out there to actually register from where they are.
Brian, and whatever Ken has pointed out is actually true. The fact that this is simply verification of those who have already registered. The next step would be to actually get people to get registered. But it would also help the fact that the continuous voter registration is still on. That people would want to engage in this trend, to become part of the sensation. They may find the need to now go register so that they can also be part of the trend. Don't you think it works to some extent?
I think for that, Fred, it works really well. And Tuko Card is a good initiative, and that is a good use of a peer pressure, as the youth may suggest. But for me, I will say that for the IBC, time has come. It's time to evolve, where the digital landscape is changing every time. And I don't know why. Is it the IBC, the only very critical institution where it's supposed to be evolving day by day, is the one that still lags behind. So sometimes it puts some question mark. But I also want to thank the commissioners for also, as much as they are not doing enough, but a little bit they're doing something that at the end of the day they are willing to participate in these continuous voter registration. They were given us the date that on 29 March, which is this month, that will be rolling out mass voter registration. But we're hoping, which style are we going to use? Because for the agencies, I see they are doing something good, because going to a station like Kasarani, registering 641 voters at the instant, that's a good thing. But again, we need also to appreciate the fact that when we are pushing for this Tuko Kadi, what are the things that we need to put into consideration? Because one of the ways that you play as a responsible citizen when you're an adult is to make sure that you participate in these matters of electioneering. And one of it is to have a vote. And one of the mottos of HIBIS is that your vote, your future. Because we understand that politics really affects the way we live, the way we handle our daily activities, but at the same time, the posterity of this country.
Let's for a minute examine the way social media works and the way trends work in Kenya. Some of them are very short-lived. And it could be a dance style. Now they're using that South African song, Tuli Sabela, Huli Sabela, and everyone who has a card, they're doing it. Do you think now, with the anticipated mass voter registration rollout, that such trends could play a key role? Maybe not the current one, but if we keep on having trends towards mass voter registration, that it could actually help?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. But I think my fellow young people need to know that a hashtag can trend for 24 hours. A hashtag can trend for even 1 week, but there's a time that hashtag will stop trending. So what other mechanisms do we have to actually engage the young people in the remote areas to actually go outside and vote? Because I welcome the idea that we are doing here in Nairobi, but what about other remote areas like Turkana? It doesn't mean there are no young people there, but most of them don't have smartphones like we do here in Nairobi. So I feel like young people, in as much as we welcome the social media aspect of it, we have looked at how by-elections have behaved. There's the way we do things and we say things on social media, and then there's reality where you find it's now the people in the 50s and 40s going and lining up to actually vote. So my prayer is we can come up with a way of maybe using the sensitization or the sensational way, and maybe it will require a lot of creativity, because Tuli will come and go, and then what next? However, I would call on IBC maybe to pick it up from there, that even if the young people tomorrow, the Tuli will not be there, what will they do as an institution to ensure that the momentum continues? But I must appreciate IBC for two things, because last year we were crying and saying that, you see, you have said people to register at the constituency level. Some people don't have fare to actually go to those places. As some of the representatives of universities, we told them that why can't you come even closer to universities? IBC has gone to Machakos University, IBC has gone to actually this week it is in Kwea, in KAG. So we must appreciate the steps that they are making as we ask for more. I welcome the idea of mass voter registration where they have said now away from the constituency level, we're now going to the ward level. My call to my fellow young people, don't wait for someone to bring a sensational trend for you to actually take the initiative of voting.
But it's the necessity of this sensationalism and the use of social media, because we saw in 2024 during the Gen Z protests that it was purely social media that excited thousands and thousands of young people to come out to the streets. And it wasn't just in Nairobi. It happened in various urban centers. And surely we cannot dismiss the power of social media this time. In a case like, if at all the voter registration, mass voter registration exercise is on for maybe 30 or 40 or 60 days, the power of social media, do you think that it's time that IEBC now invests better in social media management, getting a different kind of admin? Like, remember the DCI had a different kind of admin there just the other day. Even KRA now has a different kind of social media admin.
The DCI is fired.
Oh, he was fired.
No longer.
KRA has a very brilliant one now.
I think, Fred, IBC, like my brother mentioned, IBC must evolve. They must accept there's change, and they must work. They must do work on that as fast as possible. My concern is always, people have been saying, okay, you have to be a member of a political party. Initially, ORPP did not have that section of you can register yourself. In fact, it was very difficult. I mean, you had to go to the offices. But today, I can register myself, but still, Aliona cannot register me in her party without me confirming that actually I'm interested. Get that? So IBC has to revolve. We are looking at 6.3 million new voters. This is not a small number. This is a number that even if we are going to do voter registration for 30 days or 60 days, then there must be connectivity with the technology to make it move faster. Tuko Kadi did 400 in one day in Kasarani, and they are doing the initiative is moving to Kibra. Then what I would want to put on record is rally more young people across the country, not only in Nairobi. I was in Nakuru yesterday, and I had a meeting with the leadership of Nakuru youth, leadership of Nakuru young people. And we agreed that what is happening in Nairobi needs to be cascaded down to Nakuru, because at the end of the day, there are more young people in Nakuru as well who will want to participate in this process. In fact, their revelation was, we're just seeing these things happen in Nairobi, we're not aware of how they happen. So then Tuko Card initiative, we are also going to push it to Nakuru, Kisumu, Busia.
It's the mechanics of how to push it, because, and that's why I'm asking about the nature and the DNA of the social media administrator for an organization like IEBC.
That's where I'm coming. IBC, just as scary. You know, sometimes you might post your nice vehicle on Twitter. Then carry just from nowhere.
Congratulations.
Comments up, congratulations. You see? So right now, young people have gone into this challenge of Sabella, and everybody's doing it. We want to see how can IBC capture that. Get that? In that challenge. We want to see Ethicon in this thing. We want to see the commissioners getting involved in this thing. I mean, it does not mean that they have taken sides, but these are young people who are just interested. And as I finish on that, focus now should not be you are registered to vote for who. Focus should be, are all of us registered? Yes. First thing, let's first register, because anyway, even if you don't like the opposition and you're not registered, you can't do much about it. Yeah.
Are we seeing the end of the typical corporate communications person or social media administrator? That many have tried, and the formal way of communicating, the way people have been taught to communicate corporate lingo from the IEBC's perspective has not worked at all. Now you're seeing organizations like KRA communicating in very interesting ways on social media. Are we seeing the end of the corporate social media administrator and probably the entry of a new kind of a younger Gen Z administrator who can appeal to that generation?
I think when you're doing communication and you are targeting certain segmentation, specifically with a certain behavioral, what triggers them is the way the algorithms works. And for that now you need to understand that these people want social proof or for the fear of being left out, FOMO. So you have to think of that.
FOMO is a big,
it's a big thing because everybody wants to be in the trend. At the same time, in Kenya we understand one thing, that what trends in this week might not be there in the next week. because at this point we are at the Tuko Kadi. But the question is, we want to retain this narrative and at the same time to put a lot of sensitization and also to bring people to register as voters. What exactly do we have to look to? So it means the team behind that much creativity must also analyze other ways and putting other methods, because methodologically they need also to evolve each and every time, because if today we're using Tuko Kadi, maybe tomorrow Tuko Macho, we evolved with the time and time, and I hope, because this is Nairobi, the urban setup does that, but at the same time we have to look peri-rural urban setup, where now we need to think of the other youths who are not that creative, but at the same time we must also have the means that they may try in it and also it works for them. So I think that's where now they need to be very creative, and that's why sometimes I usually feel like we don't have to be in a homophous way, but when you are trying to be homogeneous and identifying ourselves as the youth when doing photo registration, I think the most important aspect is when we are all doing this, then we ask ourselves, what is something that we may put in place to make sure that we evolve every time and every time. I mean, I think if that team can do the something creativity, then they have to involve everyone and to make sure that they innovate ways that they can do that every time and every time.
It means we should be having trend after trend after trend until election day. How sustainable is that? And what other ways would you suggest that we target these people who are probably not on social media constantly, the ones you say are in probably marginalized areas and don't have smartphones?
Yeah, I think we will have to do physical engagements, because there are some areas where villages are very many kilometers apart. So if you're going to a county like Wajir, a county like Turkana, a county like Mandera, we need to look at how can I engage these youths, maybe in one constituency. What is the central point that we can actually meet a number of youths, and how can we meet the opinion leaders to even help us in disseminating this information? Because there are some people who understand Thuli, but others do not even know the trend is trending.
Right.
And another important thing that I've forgotten,
very briefly,
okay, is most young people are registering out of peer pressure. Please register where you will actually vote. Don't register here in Nairobi and you know very well in 2027 you will be in Kakamega, Nabaholo.
So probably even things like roadshows would work. Do you think roadshows work in places like rural Siaya and Kakamega?
That's another initiative we can tap into.
All right.
Yes, it does, and that's why IBC must come on board with this Tuko Kadi initiative, and they'll also play a part in it. Because so far, right now, it's just working online, people mobilizing online, and then it means that segment that are not online have been left out. So then IBC, through their different branches, they have to tap into this and ensure that they work with the common faces that are pushing this to reach wale watu who are not online. Yeah, and of course, what she has said, young people must register where they're going to vote. And if by any chance you are under control of your parents, then you will be wise enough to register that you are going to vote in the village, because at the end of the day, they will compel you.
I think the challenge is in the communication, because for them to agree first to register and for them to agree even to vote, those are two different problems. And I think the challenge you've agreed is in the communication.
Yes, there's a challenge in communication, but now you see the main focus right now is have the voter's card.
Okay.
Because even if you are not going to vote or you are going to vote, at that time when you don't have the card, you can't do much.
All right.
So have it first.
And of course, even as we continue this conversation, we had promised you that we'll be linking up with our reporter Sheila Chalangat, who's in Narok, where the President William Ruto, is expected to be launching the next phase of the extension of the SGR from Naivasha to Kisumu and onwards to Malaba. It's happening at Mutonyo. And let's head there and see what's happening there. Sheila, good morning. Bring us up to speed with the happenings where you are.
Good morning, Fred Mdimuli. It is indeed a very chilly morning here in Narok County, but that is not deterring the final preparations for the launch of the SGR extension. As you've rightly mentioned, President William Ruto is expected to preside over this launch in just a few hours. Remember, this extension will see now the SGR from Naivasha to Malaba, and the first section, of course, is from Naivasha to Kisumu, and the next section will be from Kisumu to Malaba. Of course, this project is seen as one that is designed to ensure regional connectivity, seamless trade along the northern corridor, as well as employment opportunities for many. But as of now, I am joined by the MD for the Kenya Railways, Mr. Mainga. Hello, good morning. And Just a quick question is, what does this project mean for Kenya long term in terms of the economy and even transport?
Thank you so much, and I'm great to be here this morning with TV47. This project is a major project, and it is a transformative project. As you know, we have done SGR from Mombasa to Nairobi, from Nairobi to Naivasha, and now today the president is launching the section from Naivasha to Malaba, and from Malaba will go, Malaba Kisumu, Nakuru, Naivasha, Kisumu, Malaba, and that section will be able to bring a lot of benefits. As you know, Kenya is a gateway for East African countries. Most of the countries are landlocked. So we transport goods for Uganda, we transport goods for Southern Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, and DRC Congo. This project, when we connect ourselves to Uganda, from Malaba to Kampala, it will have several benefits. Number one, it will transform the area like we are first. Where we are in Narok, we have about 98 kilometers of this project. You can imagine the kind of investments that will go into Narok. From Narok, we'll go to Bomet. From Bomet, we'll go all the way to Kericho. And from Kericho, we'll go to Kisumu County and all the way to Malaba. Some of the benefits are very important is transportation of our goods and the services. Today, as we talk, our cargo in the roads is taking more than that, 48 hours. When this line is completed, goods to Malaba will be taking about 15 hours. Within one day, from morning to sunset, the goods will be able to arrive in Malaba. And also there is a lot of imports that are coming from these countries going to Mombasa. You can imagine our tea, our avocados, our cultural goods, our coffee. All these goods are going to be transported through SGR. And why we are saying this is horticultural goods. Now, the law the current law in the world is horticultural goods, most of them should go by sea, 50% because of the climate change. So you can imagine the importance of SGR in our country and in our neighboring countries. And another thing is connecting these other countries because they are landlocked and they also need to do SGR. Some of the benefits also is revolutionizing our economy. Wherever SGR passes, we have stations, we have investments. So you can imagine we are going to have logistics centers along the lines. We'll have a logistics center for animals, eyes and the skins here in Narok. We'll have a logistics center in Mobent for coffee, tea, and avocados. We have a logistics center in Kisumu, and you know what I mean in Kisumu, cold storage for fish, so that our fish in the lake can be moved from Kisumu all the way or even be exported without any problem. We have what we call refrigerated wagons, and then all the way towards Uganda, picking those imports. Importantly, Kenya now is mining a lot of minerals, and some of these minerals are bulky. You can't transport them by road. So we want to bring all these commodities that are bulky. And we also want to save our roads from these lorries, from these traffic, and also complement one another. You know, some of the goods can go by road, but we want also to complement our roads by bringing more cargo to the roads and making sure that if you are on Busia, you are in Mombasa, Malaba Road, the kind of accidents, the kind of dilapidated roads.
And you know, for the passengers, I am wondering, are there any features that will be different from the older phase of SGR? What should they expect?
No, Kenyans should prepare them for an exciting time. We were just discussing the other day in Kisumu, and the exciting part of this is now we have what we call the premium class. In our premium class, you eat, you watch movies, you sleep, and you are taken care of. You know, it's a PIP. And what we are going to have is passengers moving from, let's say, Malaba all the way to Mombasa within 13 hours. You can imagine our speed will be 120 kilometers per hour. So within 15 hours, you are in Mombasa. Within another 15 hours. And then the important thing is you work in the train. There's Wi-Fi, you can shower, you can do everything within the train.
Very exciting times indeed. Thank you very much for speaking to us. Of course, that is the MD, Mr. Mainga. And of course, this is the launch that is happening here in Narok. We will be expecting a further launch on Saturday in Kisumu, where now President William Ruto will be launching the phase from Kisumu to Malaba. From here, we'll be giving you more updates as we get them. But now back to you in studio, Fred Indimuli.
Thank you so much, Sheila Chelangat, coming to us live from Narok, Mutonyi area, where we do expect the president will be presiding over the launch of that SGR extension from Naivasha all the way to Malaba through Kisumu. Let's take a short break. Morning Cafe will be right back with more. All right, welcome back. You're still on Morning Cafe right here on TV47 with me, Fred Indimuli. We now want to discuss what has been dominating headlines for the last 2 days at least, and would appear will continue doing so. The Daily Nation on the front page talks about courting trouble, and it's about the exchanges, the endless barrage of insults and personal attacks between President William Ruto and leaders of the united opposition. And it would appear this will continue. Yesterday, the president continued with the attacks and insists he will continue doing so. Most of the cartoons are talking about the same. Well, let's listen to what the president and his former deputy had to say yesterday.
Mimi ni mtu niko na akili. Najua wakati wa kupunguza ndio niweze kuconcentrate. Najua vile ya kwenda gym. Najua vile ya kupunguza chakula. Sasa mimi nataka niwaulize, mkiona wale majamaa, si waende wajiangalie kwa kioo. Wale majamaa waende wajiangalie kwa kioo. Tumbo karibu inararua shati. Kichwa karibu inapasuka. Mimi nawaambia tafadhali endeni kwa gym. Punguza ratili yenu, punguza chakula. Munalala kwa mkutano mchana, kiholela, hata hewa munaharibu. Please, wacheni hiyo upuzi. Wale watu ni wapuzi, si wapuzi. Ni mafala, si mafala. Tunaelewana my friends? Si wale watu waende kwa gym kidogo, wapunguze hiyo ratili mingi. Kichwa karibu inapasuka, tumbo karibu inapasuka, kwa sababu ya kukula bila ya kupima. Ama namna gani? Mtu analala kwa mkutano 3/4, mtu ambaye ataendesha Kenya. Ataamuka saa ngapi ndiye aendeshe Kenya? Na unajua, nyinyi mnafikiri ya kwamba nawaingilia kwa bure. Mimi walisema jana, mimi niliwaambia, situongee mambo ya maendeleo. Wakasema hapana. Niliwaambia, jameni, tafuteni sera, tafuteni agenda, tafuteni mpango, toeni maono, ndio tuweze kushindana. Wakasema ati wao hawataki maono, hawataki agenda, hawataki mpango, ati agenda yao ni mimi, William Ruto. Sasa kama munasema mimi ndio agenda yenu, karibuni, niko tayari. Tutapambana na nyinyi. 99% of the time nitafanyia kazi wa Kenya. 1% of the time nitadeal na nyinyi. Sijui kama tunaelewana jameni. Hawa jamaa niwashughulikia ama sitawashughulikia? Hawa jamaa nitawashughulikia.
Sasa nimeona umekasirika vile nilitaka. Mimi nilitaka wewe ukasirike. You lose your temper. You lose your cool. You stop being presidential. Sasa Kasongo amekuja bahari nilikuwa nataka yeye. Ameteremuka chini. He is no longer presidential. Amekuwa mtu ya propaganda na fitina. Sasa haongei mambo ya barabara, haongei mambo ya maji, anaongea mambo ya wanawake, mambo ya wasichana, nani hana bibi, sijui nini. Ameteremuka bahari tulikuwa tunataka yeye. Akae hapo. Akae wapi? Sasa nimeona mpaka Kasongo amechanganyikiwa. Mambo imeandikwa na bloggers ya Madera for 2 years. Content ya bloggers ndio wanachukua kuambia Wakenya. Hiyo Kasongo, if you had a working intelligence system, they would have informed you. Hiyo propaganda unaongea leo imeongewa mwaka 2 and wananchi have ignored because it's nonsense. Sasa wewe umewacha kuwa president, umekuwa mtu ya kushare content ya bloggers. Ameteremuka chini pahali tulikuwa tunataka. Tumemtoa kuwa rais, amekuja hapa chini habari ya fitina na habari ya propaganda. Akae chini asikae chini? Afinywe asifinywe? Angaishwe asiangaishwe? Hii mtu amekasirika hata anashindwa kuongea. Anaongea mpaka anatoa mate. Nimemfinya, nifinya nisifinye? Nimsukume nisimsukume? So
Constitution on leadership and integrity requires that state officers, which include the president, must conduct themselves in a manner that brings honor to the nation and dignity to the office that state officer occupies.
The President of the Republic of Kenya to behave in a way that he behaved yesterday. The moment you get annoyed as a president, what decisions will you make?
Si anatukana watu matusi mbaya mbaya. We William, wacha hiyo mambo bwana. We ni president. We have to tell you.
I want to remind President William Ruto that his utterances actually border on misconduct, which is a ground for impeachment of the President of Kenya. We want a president that will unite this country, a president that respects the Constitution.
He is unfit to be in office now. And if here the Constitution means for his removal, the job should be done now, not in 2027.
Yule wa pepo ya ukabila, yule wa pepo ya ukabila na chuki, nishampatia ilani. Hawezi kugawanya watu wa taifa letu la Kenya. Hawezi kutuletea ukabila mahali popote Kenya hii. Mimi nimemwambia hiyo wizi yako ya kuibia mpaka hata wajane na mayatima, hiyo ukora anafanya mpaka watoto wetu wanawaharibu na kuwaua. Mimi nimemwambia hiyo tabia hakuna nafasi katika taifa letu la Kenya.
What example are they trying to show those who are coming after them? must leadership just be full of goonism, violence, insults? As young leaders, we want to condemn the conduct and becoming of the leaders, especially at the presidency level.
Right, and a lot has been said about these exchanges which border, or many people are actually equating them to mchongo ano on the streets. But now we want to examine the impact it has on voters and especially the youth. Just before the break, Brian, we were talking about this newfound excitement and the sensationalism that younger voters are now finding in registering for voters. But when you look up at the politicians that you're supposed to be voting for and the quality of exchanges they're having, what kind of impact do you think it will have on them?
You know, as all we know that they say we can forgive a child for fearing a dark, but the tragedy of life is when the men fear the light. I think that was one of the essays from the Plateau. And for this essence, I think for the people who are becoming voters at this moment, I think what we have to look into is the aspect of what does our Constitution say in terms of leadership, what does our Constitution says in terms of people that we also want to have this to be in these offices, because it's not also about the president only. It's about only from the MCAs, members of parliament, speakers, majority leaders, senators, women rep, governors, to the president level. So I think the young people should ask themselves, what do we want? And you know, that is again is the opinion that they should carry, but we have a reference book, which is our Constitution, that we can say, for the matters of leadership integrity, chapter 6 of the Constitution, these are the things that it entails, and these are the requirements for one to be in these offices. Mm-hmm. But again, remember, there's nothing that happened coincidentally, because whatever that happens in our public sphere, in terms of whether it is interesting to the public or of the public interest, the question is, these are the two leaders who are, as of the moment, that the people leading in front in terms of contesting for the presidential. President William Ruto, and then there's Gachagua there, and another leader there, Matiang'i, Kalonzo. The question is, these are the people that will come. These are the people that IBC will clear to contest for this presidential. But the question is, do we look at what they say, or do we look for what they have in terms of promoting this country to go forward in terms of economy? Because sometimes we don't have to lose the context of how we engage in leadership, because sometimes this bluffering and insults is for their own sake, because they know what they're doing. But also that is not a good example for the young people. That's not a good example for the people who are growing, looking forward for them, but also for the people who understand what really matters for the issues of this country. They should look leadership from the way people bring their manifestos.
Right, Alionya, the issue is that there is and has existed a disconnect between the younger voter and the political elite. This is a level of conversations we're having at the presidential level, because it is between the current president and someone who was his number two at some point, or someone else who's trying to offer the alternative administration, in the Gen Z protests, many people complained about the quality of leadership we have and the kind of conversations that our politicians are having. Now that we're talking about voter registration, looking at this level of conversation, do you think any young Kenyan would be excited? They may laugh now, but would you be excited to go vote for that crop of leaders from whichever side of the political divide?
Yeah. I think we need to make it clear that as young people, we are not taking side of either of them, because it is wrong for them to actually have the kind of conversations they're having. But one thing that shocks me is that Rigathi Gachagua has been throwing jabs since, I think since he was impeached. But I didn't see civil society come out like the way they came out yesterday. I didn't see the church come out like they came out yesterday. I didn't even see the media, you know, trying to really tone down on some of these messages that come from politicians like it came out yesterday. But one thing I appreciate my former party leader Raila Amolo Odinga is that during such a times he would come with a kitendawili, you know, and the kitendawili will be targeting someone, but it would be a kitendawili of a language of an elderly person that he has communicated, but he has not communicated in a vulgar language. So we must tell the president that you are the president, you don't have to go that low. But equally, the opposition needs to realize that if you have been spending 24/7 of your time throwing insult, the person you're throwing insults to can actually also throw insults. And then the problem we have as a society is that as a country, In fact, the crowds that are always mobilized, they will never say no to such language. In fact, they clap, they applaud, yeah, they even chant the slogans that the politicians are telling, nimaliza ama nisimalize, maliza. So it is the nature of the crowds we have during the rallies. It is the nature of the conversations we have on social media.
And some of the crowds, whether paid or not, are made up of fairly young people.
Exactly. And now, but the challenge...
to be enjoying it as well.
But the challenge is, but we need not to enjoy it more than this. The challenge is, as a young person, and especially a woman, there is what we call cyberbullying. And I think the president has brought into action the Cyberbullying Act or something. And you can see the images that are on social media. They're not pleasing images of the president or even Rigathi Gachagua. And so if tomorrow now the Gen Z start putting you in a casket, you wouldn't complain because you have set the tone for the young people to take action from. So as a young person, I would actually call both sides that, look, you have thrown insults, you have seen how far you can go now, can you go back to the development record? Can you go back to the issues actually, affecting Kenyans? But if it continues, they will actually regret in 2027 because nobody... Kuna mtu atalia mahali, na itakuwa mbaya.
It is said in a mchongo no contest, usually the loser has to dash home crying.
Exactly.
But Ken, the issue is that even the party leader of DCP, listening to what he said yesterday, he appears to be claiming victory, that now we've rattled the president enough to get him into that position. He may see that as success, probably by standards, but what does it do to the young voter that this person I look up to, who's a possible presidential contender, that's the kind of exchange they have?
Thank you, Fred. Let me answer this thing in four ways. One, Chapter 6 of the Constitution is very clear and on the operations and how the president, a holder of that office, should carry himself. But I want to remind Kenyans that when William Ruto in 2010 then opposed the 2010 Constitution and he was vigorously against that document, people thought that he was just doing political stunts and trying to get fame. But few years later, we've seen actually that this guy has never believed in this document, and over time he has violated and molested this document from chapter 1 to the final chapter. In the position of a president, it doesn't matter how much you are angered. You cannot go on a sunroof and start insulting and calling people names. On the issue, you saw him when he was in Kitale, and he really demeaned Honorable Eugene Wamalwa in Kitale at his home ground. A man he has met, he has sat with, and the wife he was claiming that Eugene doesn't have, William Ruto himself has met Eugene Wamalwa's family, wife, children, and the entire family in State House when he was a deputy president. And he's been to Kitale, his home, and have met those families. So, you see, when a president gets that low, the question Kenyans are asking, is this the right person to have occupied the office in the first place? Or he was just pretentious, but now he's now revealing himself. Fred, the president, in as much as he was agitated, and I want to use an analogy of a pig. Remember, he's on record calling the opposition leaders stupid, unprepared, and visionless. The moment you put a tag on somebody like that, and then they decide, okay, you called us stupid, let's act stupid. You get that? That's why Rigathi Gachagua was saying, tulitaka ukuje chini. Sasa tumepatana mahali. Because he's the one who put them there. He's the one who proclaimed that these guys are stupid, they don't have agenda, they are visionless. So they have brought him to the level of stupidity, and he's successfully come down. He must be reminded that...
Should Rigathi Gachagua see that as a win now?
Well, you cannot say it's a win, but remember the president pulled that trigger. But then, like she has mentioned, if you pull a trigger, you must be well aware of the action-reaction. If you pull a trigger, there must be a reaction. Secondly, thirdly to that issue, for me, I still believe that whatever the president did during his tour in Western, calling Eugene Wamalwa names and, of course, insulting the opposition, for me is a calculated attempt to divert the attention of Kenyans from the real issues. Because before that, we were talking about the takeover of Nairobi Hospital, which people have been asking and questioning. And remember, it's on record. The president was mentioned on that issue adversely. And he came out and said that he's the patron of the Nairobi Hospital. So then Kenyans were asking, if you're the patron of Nairobi Hospital, then why was Dr. Obuaka being arrested? And why were doctors being arrested from the theater? What exactly is happening? And then Kenyans are asking, tell us, who is the patron of Kenyatta National Hospital? Who's the patron of teaching and referral? Who's the patron of Mathare Hospital? So that we get to know that, okay, these hospitals have got patrons and so is the patron. Finally, the issue of 17 billion State House budget ya China mandazi recently, bado ijakauka, bado iko baridi. Kenyans are no longer talking about it. Nobody is talking about 11 billion anymore. Nobody is now talking about the crisis of the plight of Kenyans on issues of health, education, employment. Why? The president has strategically twisted the concentration of the country from the real issues into who is insulting who, who is calling who names, and who knows who is sleeping with who.
I was really hoping that among the 4 points that you've very clearly articulated, that you would answer my question on the kind of impact that it has on the young voter, whom we were discussing just before the break, that these people are excited to register as voters, but looking up at the people that are eligible to run for president.
Fred, let me tell you this. Politicians are insulting themselves, and voters are watching. And like you mentioned, majority of people who attend those rallies are young people, and they are watching. That is why I keep saying, young people who have been in the political space and have had the opportunity to lead other young people, like myself and my brother here and my sister here, offer yourself at the ballot. Mm-hmm. Top of the reasons why I'm going to run for Nairobi Senate is not just to compete other opponents, but to offer myself as an alternative choice vis-a-vis any other person who is running. Because I know and I believe there are young people in this county and in this country who believes that at the ballot they will vote for Ken Babu. That is the solution. Because we've seen the kind of character that is being portrayed. So then how do you criticize and you're not offering yourself to be an alternative? Mm-hmm. So then the way out is go to those rallies, listen to them, analyze, vet, and settle on a candidate that will respect the Constitution and will act according to it.
But Brian, probably we're excusing this young voter too much, and we think they're probably they are performing better in terms of integrity. But when it comes to the exchanges we see online, it is at the same level. Issues like body shaming, umenona, umekonda, umefura, it's the same discussion. Yeah. Issues around attacking people in their personal lives, your wife, your child, your mother, and all these things. It is the same thing. Should we just say that this is simply how our society is, from the president all the way down to the young Gen Z voter who's trying to register to vote? They're not different.
Fred, you know, Kenya is a very diverse country, and by that virtue, different characters coming together, then they mold to something else, and then you see this kind of a thing. You remember when we were starting the year towards 2025, before this year, we had issues of where the president was put in casket, where leaders were being insulted. Some were even not given chance to address even public event because people are too more emotive when it comes to the issues to do with the leaders. And these are things that actually affect our Kenyans most of the time. And what I'm saying is this, if the young people are this way, because we are thinking of revolutionizing this country and transforming everything. But the way we act on it is something that we're really pissed off in most of the majority of the people. The question is, are we really towards the road to change? Because you cannot be talking about change while you yourself, internally, if you assess yourself, you cannot even claim to be that kind of a person that you want to wish. You have that perfect...
Even the young Kenyan voter does not have the moral authority to criticize his leaders.
Yes. Number one, if you don't have the vote, you don't have the moral authority. Number two, if you don't have that character integrity, you don't have that moral authority. So there are things that encompasses this kind of leadership that we want. The integrity that we all wish to have. Then the question is, are we acting towards that integrity? So the young people also must show the examples. And number two, if we are talking about the president, what are the things that led the president to do these things? Remember, president is also a human being. President have been insulted. They've been drawing jabs left and right since the Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. Most of the people have been drawing a lot of bad words to the president. But sometimes this is a point as a human being, you have to stop this kind of the bullshit that is going on and tell people the reality. Because, and in my own view, this is not bad because the president said this, I'll be working for Kenyans 99% of the time. But that 1%, I'll deal with these opposition guys. And dealing with them is to giving them the segment of 1%. And that is actually 1%. And the conversation is this one, is 1%.
Is it our society that's just like this, that we are all ill-behaved? We see it fit to personal attacks even on family, on wives, on children and everything. Because if you draw a comparison with Uganda or even Tanzania, do you imagine the president or even the opposition leaders there talking the way our opposition leaders and our president are exchanging words? Is it something you would even comprehend?
No, not really. But as you have said, it is a societal problem. We have condoned it for far too long. And if we don't take a back seat and reflect and say, no, as a country, this is not the direction we need to get, it will catch up with us, because even the children, because our children are watching the TV, our children nowadays are scrolling on TikTok. And there's a way people on TikTok and Facebook Reels try to, they fix the thing until it comes out, someone really laughing at the joke. So it gets into the heads of that person who is 12-year-old. They go to school and they abuse someone mercilessly. And it doesn't, even as a teacher, you cannot reprimand them, because you see the president also had to do this, the opposition leader also.
It's just what we do in our society.
Exactly. So I don't know who will salvage us from it, but as a society we have condoned it. And let me tell you, look at Maraga. Maraga never throws insults, but how many Kenyans listen to him? Very few.
We don't like those kinds of politics.
We don't like the kind of politics we like is the politics of jabs, politics of violence. And as someone who has endured, political body shaming, like you go to my Facebook, you have posted something, someone is like, you're not even beautiful enough to post that content. I don't know, your teeth look like, and then you're like, bro, I'm not even your relative. My teeth and the content that I'm sharing are not even related, but it is a way people use that language in politics to derail something. People need to look at the impact of both what government is doing and the opposition, is that opposition is trying to stop the government from actually focusing on real issues, and equally, the government is trying to show the public that, look, the opposition is only focused on insert. They don't have anything tangible. So at the end of the day, they are fighting for our votes by discrediting one another. But unfortunately, if they continue, the culture of abusing one another will also continue within the voters themselves. You'll come to a place as a politician, and someone will now abuse you with the abuse that someone made. And someone, ay, tumbo yako ni kubwa sana. I proceed, Matiang'i going somewhere and someone telling him, Jim, ama hata mtu akitaja jina Jim, it will actually affect him, Even the speech that he had to say, maybe it will evaporate, yeah? The same for the president. If he goes somewhere and someone just does this, even without talking, it is something that will affect them in one way or another. So we need to tone down. I think this is not the language we need to have 15 months to the election. I think let us leave the political language. But then again, I look at it and wonder, if President Ruto has just used 1% and it is this detrimental, like it has sent people packing, I don't know if he continues using the 1%.
And that's the other thing, that we're already gauging them on how nasty you are by your words and who has won this contest, this Mchongo or no. We appear to have missed the point altogether.
Fred, and I believe my colleagues here will concur with me. Go and watch President Ruto's clips in 2022, 2021. The way he took on Raila Odinga head-on, mercilessly, ruthlessly. He was not different from what is happening right now in the opposition.
But even together did the same. Baba was called, Raila
Odinga was insulted and called names, but he understood and respected Chapter 6. Having held the highest position in this country as a Prime Minister. All said and done, the President must stay high. He must stay high and operate within the Chapter 6. If he wants to insult people, he can easily, the way your rank was proposing, leave that office to somebody else and focus on throwing insults. Because let me ask you, this somebody we are looking at, the symbol of national unity. You cannot peg that on Gachagua. Cannot peg that on Kalonzo. The president is the one sitting on that seat that is referred to as the symbol of national unity. So anything he can do, just like a father. Fred, today, if you disagree with your child, do you start insulting them publicly? And saying, wewe hata ni mujinga sana. I didn't know you are this stupid. That is how the president should operate as a father of the country, and listen to everybody's dissatisfaction and act accordingly.
Okay. But even when it comes to the opposition, there are lines that cannot be crossed. When it comes to national unity, yes, the president may be the symbol of national unity, but these leaders in the opposition also aspire to the same. Shouldn't they be showing what they can be as a symbol of national unity, as an example, probably?
Double standards is being applied everywhere, and I'm wondering, when you're looking to be the president, while you're also discrediting the fact that being president, there are certain acumen or a charisma that you're expected to display most of the time. Because for any other young person, and for this is the information, we know Rigathi Gachagua was impeached for gross conduct, misuse of the office, and many other things to do with the shareholding. This has been the account that has been always been seen to the public, and these are the things that we are trying to avoid. And for any person who also wants to be the president of this country, what are the things that we also be looking for other people to also consider them being the presidential way as a proper candidate for this country? Because I think as a country, we don't have even the luxury to talk about insult. We really have issues. The young people are unemployed and people are suffering. There's a lot of inequalities in this country. The governors are looting money in devolution. There is more than 13 years in devolution. We haven't even seen a worth 1 billion project. So there are real issues that the young people have to put concentration.
Beyond the tumbo kubwa na masikio.
No, than this that we are talking about at the moment. We need to hold our county government accountable. We need to ask them, where are these billion goings? Where are these money for hospital, for school, for ECDs, for water, for electricity? Why not negotiating for job creation? So these are the issues that are hailing. We have Kenyans suffering abroad. What are the interventions that
people are really enjoying and clapping for these people online?
Yeah.
And I must believe it's not the older generation. This is the young generation.
Let me tell you, when you are suffering, most of the time, even an insult becomes entertainment. And this is what that comes when people have class. Because if somebody of my caliber, I cannot clap for the insults. I have to think of something else because I know what the real issues that are hailing Kenya. So I'm urging the young people, that is not the conversation that we should be looking for. What we should be thinking of is to tap on digital accesses, opening ourselves to learning new languages, going abroad to work, upskilling our skills for the TVET, for the road for Singapore. These are things that we must be intentional doing every moment and every time. Because when it comes to insults, even me myself, I'm not good in that. I cannot throw a jab that even, I'm sure if somebody counters me, I may lift in some real damages.
But definitely we cannot excuse the young Kenyan because they're the ones who are enjoying and replaying this and reposting all this. Yeah, they're creating content from it. Don't you agree that yes, even the viewers have missed the point altogether?
Exactly. And if you look at the algorithm of TikTok, Facebook, and even Twitter, when you create content out of a hot topic like that, it actually gets viral. But anyone who dismisses it, anyone who criticizes it, in fact, like nobody even gets to see what you're saying. So I don't know. I sit down and wonder who will salvage us, because as a Leonia, I cannot criticize Rigathi Gachagua because even me at one point have thrown jabs at someone. Equally, every young Kenyan, whether you have done it physically, whether you have done it online, like we are all in the mud. So we need to, I think maybe the chief will try and help. We need to go back and say, no, we can't go this way. And I like to talk about what Ken Babu is saying, that it is only President William Ruto who should be held to account because he's in office, and those who are not in office should not. All these people are campaigning to be presidential, candidates or occupants in the next election. So you cannot excuse someone just because they're not holding office of them bringing out the greatest or the harshest insults. So all the leaders, either from opposition, I even saw someone from ODM, Babu, sitting and saying, what will the young people learn from this politician? If anything, Babu has been known of having goons. He has been known of throwing the greatest insults against the former regime. So equally, he's also in the mud. But I thank God that they're realizing insults don't work. So we need to come up with another alternative. But it is a societal problem. Fred, today, something entertaining that will be actually airing on your screens is whatever the president has said. I'm sure no media looked at the development that President William Ruto took to Kakamega, took to Kitale. But it is not that he didn't take, but because that one will not sell to the public. And the people of media understand that anything negative is actually what the audience consumes and love consuming.
At least we are still bringing you the launch of the SGR second phase.
Today you're trying.
To Malaba through Kisumu. We've done a link already. We'll be back to bring you more. Final word on this so that we can talk about Winnie Odinga as well.
Fred, mine is to just bring the leaders to speed, to respect and operate within the confines of the Constitution, Chapter 6 to be specific. And I agree with what she has said. Being a president, vying to be a president, or anticipating to be, there is no difference. The only difference is one is already sitting and the other one can possibly become. I'm not running for Senate in Nairobi County. then I have to conduct myself in a manner that depicts a senatorial, a senator in the Senate House. So that when Sifuna is addressing issues, I can equally address certain issues and be conspicuous enough to it. So then chapter 6 ties on him and ties on me equally. So said and done, both the opposition and the government has a responsibility to give proper direction to the country. But still, the president should not bring himself down to the mud.
All right. That is a big conversation this whole week, and it's on the front pages. All the cartoons are talking about that mudslinging, the use of very difficult words, some that we may not be able to repeat even on this show, between the president and members, leaders, top leadership of the opposition. Because of time, I want us to talk about one more issue, and that's Winnie Odinga in ODM. So I'll have to come back to you, because matters ODM, and a lot appears to have changed now. With the anticipation of the NDC in about a week's time. It's on the 27th.
Yeah.
So it's exactly 7 days from today.
Yeah.
And a lot had been talked about. Linda Mwananchi team have decided they will not attend that. But then Winnie Odinga comes out, and now she's running for deputy party leader. Then Nairobi say they do have all these ambitions for the party. Let's listen to what they had to say yesterday, including the leadership of the Linda Mwananchi, because they had a lot to say about Winnie Odinga as well, because now she appears to have moved to the other side. Let's listen in.
Osho, to tell her that I think she needs to tread very carefully, because I think those from Linda ground would want to use her to justify what they are going to do on 27, to confirm people without a competition.
Listen to what she has said since her great late father died. You will know where her soul is. Watch her every utterance. So me, I will not really care where her body is, but I very much care where her soul is. And I think her soul is together with the soul of the father and with Linda Mwananchi.
So I would like to tell Winnie that she's bigger than the pond where she's going. She should join the ocean, and this is where the ocean is.
We control 35 counties out of the 47 counties, and we expect that the delegates who will be coming to our meeting will be the joining delegates, as opposed to theirs who will be fake delegates.
Nani huyo? Winnie Odinga ng'ang'ania. Msichana wenye miaka 36 pekee. Is one of the biggest political parties. Linda ground Linda Mwananchi. It would appear that Winnie Odinga is a huge factor heading to the NDC.
True.
You must agree.
Yeah, and I welcome the idea of her wanting to maybe contest for the deputy party leadership. But if I was her advisor, that would not be a very good, step, because one thing that people didn't learn about Raila Amolo Odinga is that he, in all his lifetime, he ensured that family did not factor in. He ensured that the party looked as a party of the people, that everyone belonged to the party. So if the party leader is an Odinga, and then the deputy party leader is a child of the Odinga, I mean, it will not sit well with a few people, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't qualify. The delegates of Nairobi have endorsed her. I don't know what will happen in the NDC if all the delegates, the 3,000 of them, will, second the motion, but that is up to them to decide. But I've heard Ososi say that she should tread carefully, she's being used. If you have started with Winnie Odinga, she's not a girl you can actually use. I think Winnie Odinga has looked at the Linda Mwananchi and realized that they don't have an end game. Because, you can't just go to rallies and say, Sisi ndio Sifuna, and it ends there. What do you really want? And this is something that the Kenyans are asking Edwin Sifuna. Okay, are you going for the senatorial seat? If no, are you going for the presidential seat? I mean, we don't have the luxury of time for us to just continue singing slogans without tangible, structures of what you want to do for Kenyans, etc. So she has sat and analyzed and realized that in as much as I sympathize with the Linda Mwananchi, because she showed some support some time back when she went for the media briefing when Sifuna had been told to step aside as the Secretary General. But she has sat and calculated and realized, okay, the party is still going forward. And if anything, I have to be on the table probably to give my voice, but that means I would have to be in the party structures. So to me, it is basically her realizing that politics goes beyond sloganeering. Politics goes beyond sensational politics of Sisi Ndio Sifuna. People have to ask, okay, what are you bringing on the table? What do you actually want when you come to us? So she has given them time, because she has taken a lot of time to actually even accept to be seen by people in the Linda ground. So probably she was weighing, and she has realized that there's no direction here. The direction is here. That does not mean that she has been cajoled to something, because Winnie is not someone you will funika her mdomo with a sellotape. She will still speak her mind.
36 years of age, she looks set to be one of the biggest factors in this NDC. And if this NDC happens on the 27th, it will be perhaps the biggest political party event so far this year. Even from my UDA perspective, because I know you're in coalition building plans, does it excite you seeing the happenings in ODM?
Winnie, tracing back to her thoughts through the party of his father, I think that's something that for her it's very important, because being under the party structures is very important, and sometimes you have to time yourself with how things are working, because strategically going for deputy party leader position, that is very strategic. That's very wise for her, because I think she sees something. Something is coming on the way, and by the looks of that, she's very strategic, and by that it works for her. And for me, I think that is fine for her. And know that for Linda Mwananchi and the team, I know any time when you are left with a member, it's painful. It's like also another dead on the other side. But they have to also mount in a way that it's very logical, because no one is using Winnie. And by that virtue, we want ODM to be together. We want a strong ODM, so that we as the UDA, when the time comes, we will sit down, we will negotiate, we will build a policy document that is going to revisionalize, transform this country going forward. So for the ODM, it's for them to plan their house properly. And I've been looking forward for this 27th National Delegate Conference. It's one of the biggest ever in terms of at the party level. This is where now culmination of all delegates all over the country comes together to come and elect fully the leaders of that party. Same to the UDA party. At the moment, we are in the grassroots elections. And also for us, at the time we're coming on May, I think we will be done with those grassroots, ward level, constituency and county level. Same case. Ours, maybe at the June, we'll be having also National Delegate Conference and come to endorse President William Ruto. And also for me also to be elected again as a National Youth Chairperson. So this delegate is very important. I know what it means. And being that Winnie also, she's going for that position, same as me also going for the National Youth Chairperson, is something that you have to work under the structures of the party. That's why she was seeking endorsement from the Nairobi delegates. Same case, even me here in Nairobi, I sat previous week with the delegates also from the Nairobi. So it's something that always you have to do with the party, because on matters of election and internal processes, is the members, elected leaders who are legitimate, are the one are going to make that decision. And if you don't sit down with them, actually you're not going to get that seat. And you remember, for the Linda Wananchi, they're saying they control 35 counties. And I'm really smiling, because 35, with that, really, unless there's a joke somewhere.
But it could be seen as a loss for Linda Mwananchi. They sound a bit desolate, seeing Winnie on the other side. But it must be exciting for a young politician, a young female politician of Winnie's stature, whether or not she holds the Odinga name, heading to this NDC.
Well, thank you. First, allow me to acknowledge the fact that Winnie has set pace for young, not necessarily young women, but young people. Because what we are looking at and the conversation is, where is the position of young people on the table? So rising to the level of a proposed deputy party leader is not a small. It's not a small joke. I mean, it's not a small achievement. But talking about controlling 35 counties, I think Osotsi is now belittling us. Because as an affiliate of Linda Mwananchi, we control actually around 41 counties. So for Osotsi to come and say that we are controlling 35 counties, I think he ought to have consulted with me so that I give him the data of actually how many counties we control. Because as far as I'm concerned in the analysis, we are holding up to 41 counties.
You speak as an affiliate member?
An affiliate, an associate of Linda Mwananchi. We have to protect the country. Now, On the issue of Winnie being used to sanitize the other side, I would say closely, it's something close to that. Because you see, members of ODM, you see, watch out things that are the way they are unfolding from the onset up to now. People were so disenfranchised by the fact that the youth leader was actually made the party leader. And it was a matter that brought up too much eyebrows. And people were jostling for power and, of course, occupation. But then, where Winnie stands, that is where the mother is. And you know how powerful the mother is. So then, if the mother is somewhere, that's where the family is. So by extension, if she deviates, so if she leans to the side of Linda ground, definitely the Odinga family is on that side. And to some extent, I agree, it disenfranchises the Linda Mwananchi. But still, I want to say, Linda Mwananchi is still strong. Edwin Sifuna as a person has really built himself to a level where he is now holding the hope of many people in this country. He is now being seen as somebody who can bring the conversation at national level to the table. So then we cannot write him off. And as she mentioned, people are asking, and this is something that it's a positive question. Many people followers of Linda Mwananchi are asking Sifuna, which way? Which way? Are we going for presidency? Which I think, from where I sit, it needs to come out clear, because we are also...
Do you think that's the situation, because now they're staying away from the NDC, what that would mean? It would appear they're no longer keen on being part of ODM. Does that leave more questions?
Fred, if you look at... I know you're a good student of history, and you look at 94, the happenings at Thika Stadium between Raila and Kijana Wamalwa. Well, Raila was so courageous and tough enough to go to that NDC, because anyway, he was the one controlling what anyway today is nobody's controlling that since he left the people. But now Edwin Sifuna has gradually inherited that base. Gradually, we have to give it to him. And if they decided to go to that Linda ground, that ODM NDC, it will be chaotic. There shall be no NDC. So instead of going to cause chaos there and make it not happen, leave them, let do their stuff, focus on the people. Because Linda Mwananchi is apparently people-centered, people-oriented. The conversation in Linda Mwananchi is not about who wants to take power, who wants to... Actually, if they were to give power, they are giving power to the people. So we have to give it to them, and we have to acknowledge the fact that Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, Godfrey Osotsi, and the likes of James Orengo have been able to sustain a conversation that the common Mwananchi wants to listen to. And the question that people are asking, will there be a house for them to get into? Because that's what the challenge is. At the end of the day, when people are they're going to Narok. When they come from Narok, now the sun goes down. Where are they heading to?
All right.
Raila would take us to the streets, but at the end of the day, people would go back to ODM. So then, what I would tell the team of Linda Mwananchi is Edwin Sifuna and the team must work with speed, and I point a house for their followers, so that those people that joins those rallies can actually start not only registering at Linda Mwananchi affiliates and supporters, but also members of their parties, where they are going to actually give them a presidential candidate and, of course, lead them to the national cake negotiation.
All right.
Yeah.
And ODM is definitely weaker following the divisions. You may challenge that if you wish. But many members of ODM would have loved to see Edwin Sifuna and the team there with James Orengo, Godfrey Osotsi, Babu Owino attending the NDC. They would have wanted to see a more united party. Are you disappointed that they will not be attending?
I'm very much disappointed, and you know, I look at them with a lot of sympathy, because they don't know the people they are trading with. These people of disunited or opposition, or rather united opposition, are not people you can rely on, because they are so quick in supporting and raising. Even so, Babu Koli Rigathi Gachagua Dadi the other day. The day the rubber will meet the road, people will go back to their political parties. Where will Babu Owino go to? Where will Edwin Sifuna go to? Me, I'm calling on them. They still hold the aspiration of young people. Please come to the NDC. Please attend, give your views in as much as, because when Baba was alive, we never agreed as a house at 100%. There are people who would support something, others would oppose something, but there's a way Baba would still bring us together and say, look, Alionya is of this opinion, this other person is of the other opinion, but all their opinions matter on the table. So as a young person, I am disappointed for the mere fact that they are associating with the people who will not stand with them. These are the people who are flowering them with a lot of good names, a lot of aspirations, they're even pushing pushing my senator to go for presidency, something they know that he will actually not get. But they're still pushing him into that. Why? They want to see a disunited ODM. But we'll actually be stronger, because when Baba died, when we were going into the by-elections, I remember people said Baba had gone with ODM. But we still won the elections. After that, they said ODM is dead. We still held the Linda Ground initiatives, and you would see people were coming. We were not addressing stones. Those were mammoths of people coming and saying, we still believe in the spirit of Raila Amolo Odinga. And if anything, I would want to talk to our senior, James Orengo, because he's misleading the two. He has achieved everything. You know, if today even... Because if Orengo lost even the gubernatorial position, he has lived his life in leadership. He has created his impact. But what about Akina Edwin Sifuna? He's leading them to a road he knows he can actually not sustain them. Because right now, it is becoming very difficult for Edwin Sifuna to even come out and form his own party. Because he knows he does not carry all the people that are in ODM to that new political party. The same way, he has not been given the key to DCP, where my friend comes from. They will not even accept him. He has not been given away in the DAPK. Hajafunguliwa mlango. They also still see him as a threat. I saw the other day Natembea saying, you know, Sifuna has to, I don't know to do what, because they are saying he now wants to take the Luya side kingpin. So the only safe place for Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino, please, is ODM. Please come to the NDC. That even if you'll have a contrary opinion, in 2027, when all these other people will abandon you, we will stand with you as a family.
Wow. The NDC is next week on 27th. The Linda Mwananchi team has said they will not attend the NDC. In fact, they say that they will be hoping to hold a parallel NDC whose venue and time is yet to be communicated. So, gentlemen and lady, parting shot as we wrap up our conversation this morning. Brian, we'll start with you.
Mine is to the young people, particularly for this country. And let's always be firm in terms of all the things that we want in life, because we are approaching elections. Having a voter's ID is very important, and also partaking actively on these matters of politics in this country. It's also important. But most important of it is to be in political parties. Make sure your hand are structures. In Kenya, if you're not in a political party, though that provision of being independent candidates is there, but we know what the party can do. It's a lot of magic when it comes on how you inspire, how you want to vote, and the leaders that you may want to be elected in your favor. So please, let's join political parties and register as voters. That's my clarion call to the young people.
And you're inviting them to join UDA?
Actually, that is the only party I'm advising them to join. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Ken Babu.
Thank you so much, Fred, and of course the entire T47 fraternity. I want to just call on young people to take advantage of Tuko Kadi initiative and register yourselves as many as possible for the to be as voters, because it's only through the ballot that we are going to actually implement the things that we went to the streets in 2024 easily. And I also want to urge the youth, do not just be voters. Also declare your interest, identify where you can lead, because I believe you are also you also have the capacity to offer leadership, and run for those seats. Give your fellow young people an opportunity to also elect a colleague of them. Not just because you're a young person, but the belief and the aspirations that you can deliver to this country. Personally, I will be the candidate of the United Opposition in Nairobi Senate 2027.
Right.
And in 2027 September, when I come here, I'll come here as the Senate elected. Senator elected.
All the best.
In Nairobi?
In Nairobi.
All
and
right.
we are heading there.
Ken Babu.
We are heading there. Senator Ken Babu.
All the best.
All the best. Thank you very much. I think one thing I would love to highlight to my fellow young people is that we are focused on the presidency so much as we head into 2027. We have forgotten the lower cadre positions. It is important for you to think of who you're going to elect as the MCA, who you're going to elect as the member of parliament, who are you are going to elect as the senator, because young people are putting themselves for positions like the way Ken Babu has said. So as we focus so much on the executive arm of government ahead of 2027, kindly, the reason why some things have failed is because your governor is not working. The reason why some oversight functions have failed is because you're a member of parliament. And largely, your senator and MCAs are not working. So as we head and as we say, I don't know who must go, ensure you look at your area MCA. How will you, what are the credentials you try to look at as you elect them? And lastly, to my fellow young people, and especially the females in political spaces, my girlies, it is not easy, but you don't tire. Just like you see Millie Odhiambo and the rest, you lumber glucose and we move on. It is not easy. Let us not leave it for Ken Babu alone. Let us join the pace and actually create an impact for our own self. Nobody is coming to hold our hands, so come out, come in large numbers, register as voters, and also offer yourself for elective positions.
Maybe Fred, just something. She's mentioned something around devolution. Let me just briefly put it on record that devolution is the most transformative system of governance that we have as a country. And we have to protect it, we have to strengthen it so that people on the ground can get what they deserve. Casing study, we want to tell people of Homa Bay to bring their governor for the CPAC interrogation. A lot of money has disappeared in Homa Bay County, and they are now accusing the senator for doing a presser to call on the county. The Senate responsibility is oversight. It is not an individual, personal vendetta. So the Homa Bay County Governor Gladys Wanga must bring herself to the Senate for interrogation on how she spent
and hopefully once you get to the Senate, you'll be doing that job as well.
Definitely.
Scrutiny. Scrutiny. Thank you so much, Ken Babu, who's a Nairobi senatorial aspirant, also the chairperson of the Youth League in the United Opposition. We have Alionya Rosaline, chairperson, Young Captains in the ODM party. Of course, anticipating the NDC come next week.
Exactly.
Will your position be up for election as well?
No, but not really, because we do outside. But I think I would be offering myself for the National Youth League, God willing.
All right. All the best. Congratulations. And of course, Kipkorir Brian, who's a chairperson, Youth Affairs, UDA party.
Yes.
Yes, that's the correct title.
Moment we're in election, so the seat is vacant, but already I've won. The county level.
Landslide.
Landslide.
You know, Raila takes an early lead. Don't. That statement is dangerous.
That has been our panel this morning. Very youthful panel right here on Morning Cafe, TV 47, as we take a look at the headlines and the big discussions, of course, the exchanges between the president and the leaders of the opposition. That Nick Tukokadi trending hashtag and the voter found sensation, and will it eventually result in a voter registration, mass voter registration exercise? And of course, what's happening in ODM. Anganganiwa, gazeti la Taifa Leo, nani huyo? Winnie Odinga. Business Daily, why World Bank, FDB have banned PwC Kenya. Wacha tuachane na Star kwanza. Failed mission, the Standard, and that's the mission that our Foreign Affairs Minister was to do carry out in Russia. The Daily Nation courting trouble, that exchange between the president and the opposition leaders. And then the Star goes with a sex scandal on the front page. Yeah. Top city bishop embroiled in sex scandal with married woman. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the state of the nation. After the break, we'll switch gears and talk about matters health. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Good morning.